Okay, now we're moving on to the chart part of the practice test. And we're going to use this data here to create a line chart. And I want the years on the horizontal axis and a line for each of the 5 types of energy. And I'll bet I want a legend in here too. Yes, so I need to include, I want the years to be identified, and I want the types to be identified. So go to Insert. I want line with markers, that's this one. I want years on the horizontal axis, which I have, and use the Move Chart button. I'll come back and do that in a minute. The chart should have a legend identifying the 5 types of energy. It does. Set the title to U.S. Energy Supply and place it above the chart. So let's go to chart title above the chart, and you can just start typing here, U.S. Energy Supply. Okay, and that was nice. I didn't have to type it. Place it above the chart. Set the y-axis to quadrillions of BTUs. I'm just going to copy this here and see if we can do a little copy and paste on the axis titles. That'd be vertical, rotated. Control V, and that did not work. So we'll click in here. Back up over everything. Let's try it again. Now do a Control V. There we go. Quadrillions of BTUs. And rotate it. Make the chart title font 20 points. Okay. And I am going to flip over. I think when you put it on a new sheet by itself, it messes with the font sizes for you. So let's go ahead and move it first. And now let's go back and look at our requirements here. Make the chart title font size 20 points. So let's click on this, and it is already 20 points. Okay. Let's make the text 14 points. So I want this to be 14. I want this to be 14, and I want this to be 14. I don't think it said the title on the y-axis, but let's check and see. Make the text, well, that's a little ambiguous, I guess. We'll go back here. That looks kind of small. We'll make that 14 points as well. And then let's go back. Rotate the numbers on the horizontal axis 45 degrees. So I'm going to take these, click on them here, and let's right click. And what I want to do is I want to right click, format the axis. You need to have the axis numbers selected here with the handles on each corner, and then choose right click and choose format the axis. And this falls under alignment. And so I'm going to do a custom angle. Actually, I think I like them. Yeah, we'll do it this way. And we want 45 degrees. There we go. Let's flip back over. Display minor grid lines every 1 unit. So these are going by 5. So if I want grid lines, it's going to be a property of this axis. So I want to add minor grid lines. And actually it does it every 1 unit by default for me, so it was actually a bit easier. If I wanted to go in and do grid lines here, you can right click and go to Format Axis, and under Axis Options, for your major unit here, instead of doing auto, you decide what it's going to be and you put whatever number in there that you want. In this case we want 1, so there we go. Format the numbers on the y-axis with 0 decimal places. Okay, right now they get 2 decimal places, so what I want to do is I want to format the axis, and this would be a number property, and number with 0 decimal places. Click on close, And what's the last thing we have to do here? Format the plot area that's between the grid lines with the preset gradient called parchment. So let's right click any place here on the plot area, choose format plot area, and I want the fill to be a gradient, one of the presets called parchment, and this one is parchment, and then close it. There we go. And then I think the last thing we've got to do here is, now we still got two things to do. Put formulas in B3 to D6. That's this area right here that will compute the totals by adding the corresponding cells on the 2010 and 2011 worksheets. So I want a formula here that will add this number plus this number. So up here it's 2010 coffee B3 plus 2011 coffee B3. And people are always tempted to go back and click on the summary page here, but don't do that. You'll mess up your formula. Just hit the enter key. And because I used relative cell references with no dollar signs, if I copy this down, the B3s become B4s and B5s and B6s. And then when I get my fill handle and copy it across, they get adjusted to column C and then to column D. I've got a lookup over here. Put a formula that will look up the cost of the item listed in G2. So here is the item in G2 and the markup. Now this has to be the first item in your lookup table, so we're gonna delete. We're not going to count column A here. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just not going to include it. So this is going to be a lookup function. Let's go to our formulas and go to lookup and reference, and it's VLOOKUP. And the value I want to look up is this. The table array that I want to look it up in is this. And the column that I want to find the cost in would be the second column. Now, these are not in ascending order, so I have to put false in the last item here. And I've typed it wrong. Let's try that. There we go. So stroller is 145.67. If I change this to bib, I get 365 and so on. I put a formula here that will look up the markup. It's going to be the exact same thing except just going over column 3. So let's go to lookup and reference and choose VLOOKUP, and the lookup value is this. The table array is this. The column index is 3, and I got to put false in here again to get an exact match, and it is 40%. Now it's not formatted right, so let's just go here and change that to a %, and now we're good. If I go up here and type in diapers, 2145, 35% markup, and that is the end of the practice test.